Emma stared at the city lights through the window, the scent of Mark's cologne making her pulse quicken. The sound of the air conditioning in distant traffic created a perfect cover for their whispered conversation. His hand brushed against hers as he reached for the coffee cup, sending a shiver down her spine. The scent of fresh coffee mixed with his cologne, creating an intoxicating combination. The office lights cast long shadows across his face, highlighting the intensity in his eyes. The sound of his voice was soft. "We should stop this." But his hand found hers under the desk. Emma's fingers trembled as she pulled away. "I can't do this to David." "Died in horror." The warmth of his gaze made her heart race, but guilt twisted in her stomach. The scent of their shared secret mixed with the sterile office air, creating a perfect storm. As she gathered her things to leave, she realized she was already counting the hours until she could see him again. David turned the bacon in the pan, the scent of breakfast filling their home. The sound of the coffee maker and sizzling bacon created a perfect morning symphony. Emma's arms wrapped around his waist from behind, her familiar touch sending a wave of guilt through him. The scent of her shampoo mixed with the breakfast smells, creating a perfect moment he didn't deserve. The morning sun through the window made the kitchen glow with warmth. The sound of her voice was soft. "You're the best husband." The words cut deeper than she knew. David's fingers tightened around the spatula. "I try to be." The warmth of her body against his back felt like a lie he was living. The scent of their shared life mixed with his secret, creating a perfect storm of guilt. As he plated their breakfast, he realized he was already counting the hours until he could escape to his own secret. Sarah sipped her coffee, the scent of fresh brew mixing with the park air. The sound of children playing and distant conversations created a perfect cover for their tense silence. Emma's fingers tapped against her cup, the rhythm matching Sarah's racing heartbeat. The scent of Sarah's familiar perfume made Emma's stomach tighten. The sunlight through the trees cast dappled shadows across their faces. The sound of Sarah's voice was sharp. "You're seeing him again, aren't you?" Emma's fingers trembled as she set down her cup. "It's complicated." The warmth of the coffee in her throat couldn't chase away the sudden chill. The scent of their shared history mixed with the present, creating a perfect storm. As they sat in the growing silence, she realized their friendship had become another casualty of her choices. Mark stared at his whiskey, the scent of the alcohol mixing with the polished wood of the bar. The sound of soft jazz and murmured conversations created a perfect cover for his thoughts. His phone buzzed. Emma's message, "I can't do this anymore." He silenced it without looking. The warmth of the glass in his hand was the only warmth he'd felt in weeks. The scent of someone's perfume as they passed made him think of Sarah's first date. The bartender's voice was soft. "Another one?" Mark's fingers tapped against the glass. "Why do we hurt the people we love?" The warmth of the whiskey in his throat couldn't chase away the sudden chill. The scent of his own cologne, different from what he used to wear, made his stomach tighten. As he sat in the growing silence, he realized he'd become the person he never wanted to be. Emma sat in the therapist's office, the scent of lavender from the diffuser doing little to calm her racing thoughts. The sound of the clock ticking in soft instrumental music created a perfect cover for her silence. Her fingers twisted the tissue in her hands, the paper soft against her skin. The scent of fresh flowers on the table mixed with her expensive perfume, creating an odd contrast. The sunlight through the blinds cast striped shadows across the floor. The sound of her own voice surprised her. "I think I've been running for myself." "Oh." "And so." The therapist's voice was gentle. "What makes you say that?" The warmth of the sunlight on her face couldn't chase away the sudden chill. Emma's fingers trembled as she reached for another tissue. "Because I can't remember the last time I was honest with anyone, including myself." I intend. As the words spilled out, she realized the walls she'd built were made of glass, and everyone could see through them. David walked beside Sarah, the scent of salt and fresh air surrounding them. The sound of waves crashing and seagulls calling created a peaceful soundtrack. Her hand brushed against his, sending a shiver down his spine. The scent of her perfume mixed with the ocean air, creating an intimate moment. The first light of day painted the sky in soft pinks and oranges. The sound of her voice was soft. "I never meant to hurt you." "Why?" David's fingers found hers. "Sometimes the truth hurts more than lies." "Yesindri, Winda." The warmth of her hand in his felt both right and wrong. The scent of their shared secret mixed with the ocean air, creating a perfect moment. As the sun rose over the water, he realized they were all just trying to find their way home. Emma stood in the living room, the scent of rain through the open window mixing with the coffee in her hands. The sound of thunder and rain created a perfect cover for their tense silence. David's fingers tapped against his coffee cup, the rhythm matching her racing heartbeat. The scent of his familiar cologne made her stomach tighten with guilt. The lightning outside cast dramatic shadows across their faces. The sound of his voice was sharp. "How long has it been going on?" Emma's fingers trembled as she set down her cup. "Longer than I care to admit." "Isai." The warmth of the coffee in her throat couldn't chase away the sudden chill. The scent of their shared life mixed with the truth, creating a perfect storm. As the words spilled out, she realized the walls she built were made of glass, and everyone could see through them. Sarah stirred her coffee, the scent of fresh brew mixing with the morning air. The sound of the espresso machine and soft jazz created a perfect cover for their conversation. Emma's fingers twisted the napkin in her hands, the paper soft against her skin. The scent of Sarah's familiar perfume made her stomach tighten with guilt. The morning sun through the window cast long shadows across the table. The sound of Sarah's voice was soft. "I always knew something was wrong." "Da." Emma's fingers trembled as she reached for her cup. "I never meant to hurt you." "Naida." The warmth of the coffee in her throat couldn't chase away the sudden chill. The scent of their shared history mixed with the present, creating a perfect storm. As they sat in the growing silence, she realized their friendship had become another casualty of her choices. Mark stared at his phone, the scent of fresh grass and evening air surrounding him. The sound of distant traffic and birds settling for the night created a perfect cover for his thoughts. His fingers hovered over the screen, the glow casting shadows across his face. The scent of someone's perfume as they passed made him think of Emma's last message. The last light of day painted the sky in soft purples and oranges. The sound of his own voice surprised him. "What have I done?" His fingers trembled as he typed. "I'm sorry. For everything." Ye wait. The warmth of the evening air couldn't chase away the sudden chill. The scent of his own cologne, different from what he used to wear, made his stomach tighten. As he sat in the growing darkness, he realized he'd become the person he never wanted to be. Emma dipped her brush in the paint, the scent of oils filling her new studio. The sound of the violin concerto playing softly mixed with the gentle hum of the city outside. The warmth of the morning sun through the windows made the dust motes dance in the air. Her phone buzzed. David's message. "I'm proud of you. Nionte." The scent of fresh coffee from the mug beside her mixed with the paints, creating a familiar comfort. She stepped back from the canvas, studying the colors. For the first time in years, they felt right. The sound of her brush against the canvas was like a heartbeat, steady and strong. Memories of her life with David mixed with the music, no longer painful but precious. The warmth of the sunlight on her face felt like a blessing, like permission to move forward. As she painted, she realized she wasn't just creating art. She was creating a new life. Sarah turned the page, the scent of old paper and fresh tea surrounding them. The sound of soft jazz and the occasional page turn created a perfect moment. David's head rested on her shoulder, the warmth of his body a perfect comfort. The scent of his familiar cologne mixed with the books, creating a memory she wanted to keep forever. The soft glow of the reading lamp cast shadows across the pages. The sound of his voice was soft. "I never thought I'd find this. Not after everything. You're not all." The warmth of his words made her heart swell with gratitude. The scent of their shared moment mixed with the books, creating a perfect memory. Sarah's fingers traced the words on the page. Sometimes the best stories are the ones we never expected. Nah. As they sat in their quiet corner, she realized this was the chapter she'd been waiting for all along. Mark moved through the poses, the scent of lavender and fresh air surrounding him. The sound of soft meditation music and gentle breathing created a perfect harmony. The warmth of the morning sun through the windows made his skin glow. The scent of fresh coffee from the reception area mixed with the lavender, creating a familiar comfort. His movements created a beautiful dance of strength and grace. The sound of his own breath felt right, like he was exactly where he was meant to be. The warmth of his own energy filled the space with peace. The scent of new beginnings mixed with the familiar, creating a perfect moment. As he moved through the final pose, he realized he wasn't just practicing yoga. He was practicing how to be present. And in that moment, he found the peace he'd been searching for. Emma stood before her painting, the scent of champagne and fresh flowers surrounding her. The sound of soft classical music and murmured compliments created a perfect symphony. David's voice was soft behind her. "You've outdone yourself, Nancy." The scent of his familiar cologne, different from what he used to wear, made her smile. The gallery lights made her work glow, each brushstroke telling its own story. The sound of Sarah's voice was warm. "I always knew you had this in you. You'll be." The warmth of their shared pride filled the space between them. The scent of their shared history mixed with new beginnings, creating a perfect harmony. Emma's voice was steady. "We've all come a long way, haven't we?" As they stood before her masterpiece, she realized it wasn't just art, it was their story, finally complete. Sarah sipped her wine, the scent of roses from the garden mixing with the crisp evening air. The sound of the city below created a soft hum, like the world was breathing around them. David's hand found hers across the table, its warmth sending a shiver down her spine. The scent of his cologne mixed with the flowers, creating a memory she wanted to keep forever. The string lights above them twinkled like stars, casting soft shadows on his face. The sound of his voice was soft. "I never thought I could feel this way again. Not after everything. You're not." The warmth of his smile made her heart skip. Sometimes the best things come after the hardest times. Nah. The scent of the wine mixed with the night air, creating a perfect moment she wanted to freeze in time. Sarah's fingers traced the rim of her glass. "We found each other in the wreckage." "Yeah." As their fingers intertwined, she knew this was where she was meant to be. Mark handed Emma a coffee, the scent of fresh brew mixing with the crisp morning air. The sound of birds waking up in distant traffic created a peaceful urban symphony. The warmth of the coffee cup in her hands reminded him of simpler times. The scent of her familiar perfume mixed with the morning air, creating a familiar comfort. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city wake up around them. The sound of a distant church bell marked the hour, its tone clear in the morning air. Emma's voice was soft. "We made it through, didn't we?" The warmth of her smile made him realize how far they'd come. The scent of new beginnings mixed with their shared history, creating a perfect moment. As the sun rose over the city, they sat together, not as lovers, but as friends who had weathered the storm and found peace. Emma stood in the circle of light, the scent of gardenias and champagne surrounding them. The sound of the string quartet and murmured conversations created a perfect backdrop. David's hand found Sarah's, their fingers intertwining naturally. The scent of Mark's familiar cologne mixed with the flowers, creating a perfect moment. The candlelight flickered, casting shadows that danced across their faces. The sound of Sarah's voice was soft. "We've come full circle, haven't we?" The warmth of their shared history filled the space between them. The scent of new beginnings mixed with old memories, creating a perfect harmony. Mark's voice was steady. "Sometimes the best endings are just new beginnings." As they stood together, they realized their story wasn't ending. It was just beginning again. Sarah stood before David, the scent of fresh flowers and morning dew surrounding them. The sound of birds waking up created a perfect soundtrack to their moment. The warmth of his hand in hers felt like coming home. The scent of the garden mixed with his cologne, creating a memory she wanted to keep forever. The first light of day painted the sky in soft pinks and oranges. The sound of his voice surprised her. "I never thought I'd find this kind of love." Ilian. The warmth of his smile made her heart swell with gratitude. The scent of their shared future mixed with the morning air, creating a perfect moment. Sarah's voice was soft. "Sometimes the best love stories are the ones we never expected." Yee. As they exchanged rings, she realized this was the chapter she'd been waiting for all along. Emma stood between Mark and David, the scent of salt and fresh air surrounding them. The sound of waves crashing and seagulls calling created a perfect symphony. The warmth of the setting sun made their shadows stretch long across the sand. The scent of the ocean mixed with their shared memories, creating a perfect moment. The last light of day painted the sky in brilliant oranges and purples. The sound of David's voice was soft. "We made it through, didn't we?" The warmth of their shared journey filled the space between them. The scent of new beginnings mixed with the ocean air, creating a perfect harmony. Emma's voice was steady. "Sometimes the best stories are the ones that never really end." As the sun dipped below the horizon, they stood together, not as they were, but as they were meant to be.